Gun fam, what's up? It's the Gun Brother. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to Guns and Beer. Today we're going to talk about a very, it would seem sensible topic, but it always gets very out of hand and very emotional. And that is, should training be mandated for you to exercise your 2A rights? Let's get into it. All right, so as always, I'm gonna crack a beer. You should do the same. Crack a brew, pour some whiskey, pour some tea, have some water if you're at work, if you're not day drinking, and just kick back. Let's chop it up about this topic. Today I'm going with one of the hottest breweries on the West Coast. This is from Monkish, and it is Monk Magic Dynasty. So that's what I'm going with today. This is a double IPA, and we're gonna talk about this topic, man. It gets, like I said, it gets pretty heated, and I know why. I know why it does, and I just want to kind of visit it from all angles. I was scrolling through the internet, and I came upon a video from a fellow instructor, Austin Trainings, and I'm gonna play you just a quick clip of it, and then, like I said, we'll chop it up. Excellent as always. So when it comes to the 2A and really any amendment, you have that right. Right is inalienable. That's it. It's your right. And to exercise that right, there shouldn't be any burden on the individual. It should be unfettered by the government, unfettered from, by, I don't know, from the government. And you should be free to exercise that right at all times. So I'm watching the video, and I'm gonna play a clip, and I'm gonna sum the rest of it up because the clip doesn't entirely do it justice, but it'll kind of get us where we need to be in the ballpark to have this conversation. Let's check it out.
If it's all you can do just to save $300 to buy a gun to give yourself a fighting chance to defend your life, imagine the hopelessness you'll feel when the government says, oh, by the way, you need to take X amount of classes over some absurd amount of time before you can even purchase a gun. This is at best one of the biggest acts of discrimination we've ever seen. Not only does this infringe on your God-given right, it puts people who live in high crime areas at an even bigger disadvantage. Black people, I'm talking to you. Than people who live in wealthy areas and have on-site security, because they basically have men with guns protecting them already. Now don't get me wrong, I'm pro-training, but training shouldn't have to come before you're able to buy a gun. If you want to get training before you buy a gun, that's on you, and you're free to make that decision. What comes with it? Arbitrary timelines. Oh yeah, you need to have 2 months of training before you can buy a gun. Why? What's that gonna do? What type of training? With who? How much is it gonna cost? Will I be tested at the end of it? If so, by who? When? How much is the test? Where does the test take place? What if the government decides to add more tests down the road?
So the title of the video is Requiring training to own a gun is stupid. Mandatory training before you can own a firearm is a slippery slope that we don't want. So those are his taglines, and I'll link the video so you can take a look at it, see the whole, everything that's encompassing. And so the argument obviously is it's a right. You shouldn't have to do anything to exercise a right, and I understand that 100%. He even comes at it from different angles as far as income, who's going to determine the training, the government should be able to do this. Then he also goes on to say he's obviously training, but he's an instructor, and it should be, it's on the individual to get the training when they should get it. So I've been doing this for 20 years, instructing, and the first thing that happened, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and especially right after the Bruin decision happened. So Maryland became shall issue, and that's when the discussion came up of Maryland HQL having to do training before you could purchase a firearm, and then the training that stipulated afterwards to have concealed carry, or you could do the concealed carry and you'd also encompass your HQL. So the cost thing came up, and then the whether or not you should have training, and then the constitutional carry conversation comes into it as well. So that kind of is what sparks this whole thing. I had made a video, and I remember having conversations with a lot of people, and one of the first things that I was accused of was, obviously I want the training to continue because I'm an instructor and the money goes in my pocket. That is not where my argument comes from. And believe me, if concealed carry training went away tomorrow, I'd be good. I train officers in security and I contract the companies. Concealed carry is not my bread and butter. I'm not talking from a point of lining my pockets. I'm speaking from a point of experience. So when you're talking constitutional carry, states that you can carry in as long as you're not prohibited from carrying a firearm without any training or anything like that. That's the only part I don't agree with, is the no training. And it's because of what I've seen. People come to class, and one of the first things I do is I do an introduction. I introduce myself, tell them my background, how long I've been training, why I do what I do, and my philosophy and all that. And then I go around the room and I let everybody do the same. And I say, at minimum though, give me your first and last name, and what brings you here if you feel comfortable saying so. And half of the comments of what brings the people there would get them thrown in jail. And they're about to learn that. So that's why they should be in the class. Half of them, like DC residents, there's a big spike in car thefts. And so there are a lot of people last year going around the room, yeah, I'm such and such, and they keep stealing cars in my neighborhood, so if I hear somebody breaking in my car, that's what I'm gonna do. You cannot protect property with deadly force in DC. You can't, that's against the law in DC. I know some jurisdictions and other places you may be able to protect property with deadly force, but that's not the case in DC. So if you're gonna own a firearm in DC, you need to take the class, or you need to read the law. Now, that's the other thing. That's just not human nature. Most people didn't enjoy going to school to learn. They enjoy going to school for other reasons. Most people's fondest memories of high school don't have anything to do with learning anything. It's not human nature to, I don't really know how to say it. It's some humans' nature, and for many it's not, to go over information on their own, to get information on their own. If they're not mandated to do something or forced to do something, it won't get done. Now, that leads me to the segment of people that gives me the most pushback about this. The people that hate this the most, and again, I'm 100%, I'm for 2A. I know some of the things I say will sound contradictory to it, but it's from experience and from a sense that certain things do have to be in place. So the people that argue against this the most are people that would read the law, train every day if they could, afford the ammo. I mean, it'll be people that reload ammo. You know they shoot a lot. For you, it's automatic. You'll do it. You are the anomaly. You are not the norm. You are whatever the percent is, 1, 2, 3%. Most people will not do that. I don't care what anyone says. Firearms is not something that you feel your way through trial and error. You have to learn how to use firearms correctly. It's not like golf. If you get a couple of bad swings and your swing is bad and then you go to an instructor later to fix it, people even tell you that. You shouldn't have started off that way. That's the hardest way to do it, but we can fix it. You can't do that with guns. You can't figure your way through and feel your way through. There's so many videos of people that were ignorant of the rules of safe firearm handling, or they knew the rules and just disregarded them and have had negligent discharges. And some people have gotten shot and killed through those negligent discharges. There's no way that you can convince me that some sort of training shouldn't be mandated alongside having, owning, or carrying a firearm. Now, if your mind is still open, if you haven't cussed me out and pressed go away already, to me, that's where the discussion begins. How do we get the training to the people responsibly? And I do not like when people try to equate it to driving, because driving is not a right, driving is a privilege. So I get that, but the principle is similar. In other words, you have to take training to drive a car, because if you don't, you'll probably crash. People with no experience driving are going to make mistakes, and that could end up with injury to other people. So in principle, in theory, they are similar. I understand, again, driving's not a right, it's a privilege. I also believe that the whole thing should be federal anyway. I don't think it should be left up to each individual state. If this is the Second Amendment, then the federal government should be responsible for administering or enforcing it and making sure that everyone has this freedom and is able to enjoy it. Therefore, yeah, the government should say this amount of training is required so you at least know how to operate the gun safely, or have been told once, but it should be free. It should be paid for by the government. All you should have to do is sign up for it and come take it. That should be, in my opinion, that's the way it should be administered. It should be available to everyone at no cost, and that way, even if you don't buy a firearm, you're at least knowledgeable about it. It's a right. Everybody should be able to enjoy it, and it should be at no cost or burden to the individual. I think we can all agree on that. Taking the class is just 100% important, so you understand at least the laws in your jurisdiction, you understand the operation of the firearm, you understand the universal firearm safety rules, how do they apply, and at least you've been told once. Now, does everybody listen? No, that's why we have right, wrong, and shit happens. But to have never been told, and to trust that people will seek out that training, they won't. People will buy a gun and think they know what they're doing, and that will lead to more accidents and things happening that shouldn't have. So I know I don't have to ask you to chime in on this on the comments, because I know I'm gonna hear it, but that is my objective opinion of it. I do think training should be mandated. However, I think it should be at no cost or burden to the citizen, and that should allow everyone to exercise that right freely. Chime in on the comments if you think there's a better way to do it, or with your way to do it, and I will see you then. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you guys soon. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and that is for any gun creator that you follow, because we are being stifled, we are being muted, our videos are being either taken down, people's channels are being demonetized. Whoever you like that is creating responsible and good 2A content, make sure you like, subscribe, and share their videos, okay? With that being said, Gun Brothers out. I will talk to you guys next time. Cheers.